At noon. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL. Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
What day is today, ladies?
It is Thursday.
It is Thursday. What is the date?
10-10 day?
It is 10-10 day. So I'm so excited to say that we get to broadcast on 10-10 day. Normally we don't have a show on Thursdays, but because of the storm and all the things going on with the Jags, no Jaguars programming today, so we get to be here with everyone out there.
Yes.
I love it.
Indeed.
Did you think you got fired when you pulled up Mia and the gate wasn't
No, that would have been RJ.
We already talked about this during the handoff. I'm going to defer to RJ Saunders. I've already said my feelings. I also said that RJ, you would be coming into today's show hot and ready to go after being denied entry because the power was out at 1010XL. It has since returned, clearly, as we are coming at you live on radio airwaves, the apps. It was
dark in this building.
The live stream is back up and running on YouTube, X, and Facebook. RJ, you walk us through your first thoughts, especially, let's be real, thank you to the weather gods above that Northeast Florida largely spared. Once again, we are thinking of everybody who is dealing with flooding and power outages, but by far and away, we avoided the worst in our neck of the woods. I think you could say that for a lot of Florida. And so we're all counting our blessings. And then RJ Saunders, you were denied entry via the gate to get in this morning.
I mean, it was a coup, straight up. So, I mean, I guess I got in here, according to Richie, right as the power went out. That's why I didn't hear any beeping for our gate, because normally I will hear a beep, several beeps in correct order, sequential order for me to come in. It's not happening. I said, all right, Steve, you could have done this by email if you didn't want me to come back here. And so, then, as we all know, the great one, Mia O'Brien, she's able just to do it. It opens up for her. I said, oh, yeah, I really know how this one goes. The writing's on the wall.
There was a time that Blake Bortles got to the podium, and he was like, I know I'm not fired because my code still works. And he cracked that joke. So, I understand. At the end of the day, there is another way to get in the building. So that's the good news is even if our power was out, there's still another way to get in here. As long as there are people already inside the building, which, of course, there were.
Well, you also need a code to get in that front door, though.
That's what I'm saying. If people are already in the building, then they can let other people in through the front. Because I went to the front when the power was out. And I was like, I wonder if anyone's out front trying to get in. But by that point, like you said, the power had come back on. So that's good news. All right, so I'm guessing all of us were on our couches last night when the Mets were down 1-0. And because, of course, our good friend Dan Hicken on the drill every morning, I think people in Jacksonville follow along with the Mets more so than they ever would.
Because of Dan.
Solely because of Dan. And so he was not supposed to be at the game last night.
Yeah.
He and Brooks the plan was for them to travel home Wednesday after Tuesday night's game. But then his good friend, Daniel Murphy, said, I'm throwing out the first pitch and I have 2 extra tickets. Would you guys like to stay one more night and go? And then the bottom of the 6th happened, and Francisco Lindor, RJ's going to pull it up for us. It sounded like this.
Game. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
By the way, a round of applause for Adam Amin. I feel like, yes, I respect the move to Fox. I respect the move to his hometown of Chicago, Taylor. We don't hear him nearly as much as we should on the national airwaves outside of the postseason. And man, oh man, I miss that man's voice. That was it's a moment that I know for Mets fans, you've been on a magical carpet ride once before in 2015. You could argue even 2000 to an extent as well. But this one, and I illustrated this for those of you who aren't watching baseball as closely during the handoff. This one, when you couple the 0-7 start, Grimace, the Hawk Tua girl, OMG, the new hit single on the Latin charts that their second baseman launched and performed during a game because they just wanted to put butts in the seats at Citi Field not too long ago. I mean, this is as improbable a run as I've seen in baseball history.
Yeah, and I mean, I was even talking to Dan when they had that series against the Braves at the end of the regular season. And at that point, I was like, how are you feeling? And he was like, stressed. But honestly, I just want to get in. Like, I don't even care what happens after that. I just want to get in. And then now they have moments like this. And that's what I feel like you always say if you're not expecting it, if you're one of those teams that are, especially if you write your team off in May or May, June, and then all of a sudden they make this run. And when you have that kind of flip of the way that everything feels and you feel like they are having fun playing baseball and they're having a good time, they had to do all these fun, quirky things that I feel like to get it. But then you get there and you start winning and you're like, oh, this could, and
this is real. This is happening.
And then expectations start to change a little bit. But Lindor has been fantastic all year. And he's one of those guys that there were, last year, there was kind of some moments where I was like, is he the same player that he was a couple years ago? Because there was definitely that season, I want to say like 2017, 2018, when him and Javi Baez were both talked about as being, two of the top shortstops in the league. Javi was up for the MVP that year with Yelich, but Lindor was having a fantastic year, and it was one of those moments where you were like, okay, we're seeing like the future of baseball in these shortstops, and now you're not hearing about Javi Baez. He went the opposite way, and then Lindor is having these moments in the postseason now in 2024.
It's just magical when Dan gets to be there with his sons. The first night they all got to sit together, and then of course last night.
Which he didn't just leave out his other son. Drew already had a ticket.
And was already planning on being
just
there.
so we set the record straight.
But can you
there.
imagine if Dan and Brooks hadn't gone? But no, if they hadn't gone to that game, if they had come back and Drew was there and they missed that grand slam, there's just certain moments in your life as a sports fan that you'll never forget the feeling. And while, yes, it's way better to be in New York City and to be there, even Mets fans who weren't able to go to the game, they'll still never forget the moment that Lindor swung that bat.
Right. And here's the part that I want to debunk. And then I also do want to get into a conversation, Taylor, with you and Lauren, especially you knowing your affinity for not only baseball, but the Cubs, this 12-team playoff. Mm-hmm. Not the 12-team college football playoff, folks. I'm talking about the 12-team expanded baseball postseason. Because now we have seen of the 4 World Series participants each of the past 2 seasons since the playoffs expanded, 3 of the 4 teams that have participated in that final best-of-7 series were wild card teams. They were teams that had to play that opening weekend that did not have the benefit of that opening round bye. And so
they get hot at the right time.
Correct. And that's what I think is fascinating in multiple regards. And so I want to discuss that. But real quick on the Lindor front, I want to debunk this myth of he got to the Mets and everything went downhill. So yes, certainly the first season he batted 230.
What year was that?
That was in 2021.
Okay, that's the year I was thinking about when people were like, okay, maybe he's done.
Yeah,
like, this
they
is the end
spent
of
all that money and it was for naught. So then we go to 2022. He batted 270, which by the way is his second best mark in his 4 seasons with the Mets. But that was the year that they basically
he's 273 this year.
Right, but that was the year that Steve Cohen basically was like, all right, never mind. We got to tear it all down. We got to rebuild. More or less said the same thing last year. Batted 254 last year and had 31 homers and 98 RBIs. So, and that was for a team that wasn't competitive, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's got 33 and 91 this year. 273 batting average. I don't think the rumors of his demise were much more exaggerated than reality suggests. And so I don't think he fell off a cliff. I think he has been hanging around. But yes, this is a swing that will go down in Mets folklore forever, much like Pete Alonso's.
I was going to say right on the heels of Alonso.
Right,
when your stars can come up in clutch situations, that's when you know that you are a team of destiny. And that's what we've seen so far. Look, I'm sure when you follow a team every day closely, like Dan would tell you and his kids too, there probably have been moments where Alonso, we talked about yesterday, has not been playing where he needs to play. And Lindor certainly has had roller coasters of seasons with the Mets. But when you watch him every day, you know what to expect. And so I guarantee that Mets fans were not expecting the grand slam when it happened last night.
No.
They were... When you're down 1-0 and it's that kind of pitcher's duel, it's so stressful.
But I think they were, Lauren. I think they were, because that's the way that this season has gone for them. And I compared it, as we were watching it live at my house, we compared it to the Jags in 2022, where you just felt like something magical is going to happen. The ball is going to bounce your way, in comparison to the New York Yankees later on last evening, which I know they won 3-2. It's all good. But I couldn't help but watching that offense for the Yankees and feeling like it was pulling teeth and they were going to need something to go their way, as opposed to, I verbatim said out loud to Kevin, I was like, I wish I was a Mets fan because magical things are just happening to them right now, especially after the 6th inning. And that must be an incredible feeling because right now, the team that I root for, it's pulling teeth. And the fact that Giancarlo Stanton earned his pinstripes last night still astounds me, with 2 RBIs and the game winner. We're going to have a conversation. We will have to start a dialogue surrounding Aaron Judge in the postseason at some point or another, regardless of if they advance or not, because I have questions about that too.
Yeah, I would be interested too. And I know we'll talk to Dan about it when he gets back, but Mets fans in general, how they were feeling, because I go back to when you have a team that for so long has had moments where they were almost there and couldn't do it, you're always waiting for the other shoe to fall and for something to go wrong. Like, I remember going through that with the Cubs every single game during the 2016 World Series. And then when Rajai Davis tied the game in Game 7, I was like, this is it. Like, this is what happens to the Cubs because we're cursed and we're never going to be able to win the World Series again. And so I am curious how many Mets fans were like, no, we're on this. We have this magic with us right now. We're that like something good's going to happen, and how many were like, yeah, it's okay. We made it. Like we wrote ourselves off in May, June, and we made it. And then that happened, and they're like, never mind, we're still here.
I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago that it was the Braves, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks. 2 of those 3 teams were going to make the postseason.
Going to get it into?
Right,
yeah.
And they had to play that doubleheader on Monday. The Braves and the Mets did because of the storm, Hurricane Helene. So yeah, it certainly has been wild. I think you're right, Taylor. There's 2 different types of fans. There's the optimistic ones and the pessimistic ones. And yes, there's the realistic ones, but yeah, there's all those people. And there are media members I would put in that category too, where the first thing that goes wrong in the Jaguars game, you will see tweets of throw the hands up, like Joe Flacco and the Colts scored on the first drive. Well, that's it. The Jags are never going to win this game, that kind of stuff. And it's like, then there's the other fans. It's like, okay, that was just the first drive. Yeah. Maybe the defense can get it together, which they didn't really, but either way. Speaking of the Jags, I have a key to the Jaguars beating the Bears. I want to give that to you when we return. It is Jags Bears. It's Taylor Hate Week is what people have dubbed it. I don't think that, but
that's okay. I get it.
We'll get into that when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL on 1010 Day 92.5 FM.
And now the starting lineup.
The Drill Mornings. Jaguars today, 10 to noon. Helmets and Heels. Noon to 2. XL Primetime. 2 to 4. The Frangie Show. 4 to 6. Into the Night with Rick Ballou and Hacker. After Dark. Evenings on 1010 XL.
Who has the best lineup this season? Honda. Cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, hybrids, and electric. This is one of the greatest lineups Honda has ever had. And now is the best time to purchase or lease one. Visit your local Honda dealer now. Remember, only a Honda is a Honda.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
I insist on complete honesty.
You can chime in anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
If you have something to say to me, I wish you would just say it.
Share your opinion.
Are you nuts? What?
641-1010.
That's crazy.
If you know about artificial turf, you know it needs to be done right. Lauren Brooks here from my friends at Sunshine Turf, a family-owned company that will transform your outdoor space into the oasis of your dreams. A putting green, a pet run, a maintenance-free yard. Trust me, the team at Sunshine Turf are the experts you need to transform your lawn. With with the highest quality products and budget-friendly pricing. Get clean, low-maintenance synthetic grass by visiting sunshineturf.info or call 904-383-0243 to get a free quote today from Sunshine Turf.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
Are you an experienced plumber or welder with MedGas certification and you're tired of being undervalued? It's time to make the move to Local 234 plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. With the best pay in the business, you'll earn $36.50 an hour with benefits that's almost $50. It's not just a job, it's a career that values you. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Barry here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Barry Orthopedics today or visit barryorthopedics.com.
57% of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida alumni say the club saved their lives. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida support over 5,000 local youths each day. Help support this work and have some fun at the same time. Join us at the Beaches Barbecue Bash, Monday, October 28th at ABBQ Atlantic Beach for barbecue, great beverages, live music, and an auction to positively impact our youth each day. Learn more at bgcnf.org/events.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Can you believe they've been cleaning carpets in Jacksonville now for 20 years? Dave Benyon, his family, and staff are so grateful of things and appreciate you, their great customers. In fact, October's birthday month for Zero Res. So what are we doing for customers? Just say happy birthday, Zero Res, and we'll give you $50 off. That's $50 off carpet, tile, and grout, upholstery, or area rugs. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday afternoon. All right, so here's, to me, the key to the Jaguars beating the Bears. In the 2 Bears losses, they've rushed for under 100 yards. In the 3 Bears wins, they've rushed for over 100 yards. There's nothing that I can do that with the Jaguars because they've rushed for over 100 yards in losses. But the Bears, to me, that's the key stat. And it's not always that black and white. I get it. But to me, for this Sunday morning here, Sunday afternoon in London, that is a key stat.
Yeah, and I think that I was talking about that a little bit yesterday of them just trying to figure out the offense, and that's part of it. is because DeAndre Swift looked absolutely terrible for the first 3 weeks of the season. Did they have 100 rushing yards against the Titans?
They did.
Wow, because that's crazy.
I think it was because it was the Titans.
Yeah,
at that
don't
juncture of the season, I think it was because it was the Titans.
Because
and also where the field
we didn't even have an
was.
offensive score.
140 rushing yards against the Titans.
Wow. I didn't realize that. That's crazy because I felt like that whole game was just all defense. Like we didn't even score a touchdown that game.
I take that back. 84 yards rushing.
Okay.
The Titans had 140.
Okay. Yeah, which
So
I guess
it's not
more
as
than
black
I
and white
thought.
as I
I still would have only guessed like 50, honestly, because all of the scores came from defensive touchdowns pretty much in that game. It was the blocked punt by Jonathan Owens and then a pick six, and those were like the 2 touchdowns they scored. But yeah, so the first 3 weeks were a hot mess disaster when it came to running the ball for the Bears, and I think that they were trying to figure out, because they had 3 running backs in DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. And they were trying to figure out which one is good in which areas. And that's kind of been, still they're figuring it out. I think it looks like they're rolling now, and they figured that what seems to be working so far is DeAndre Swift is your main guy, and you're going to use him in pass catching situations also. And Roschon is your short yardage guy and your goal line guy. That kind of seems what they've done. They've almost like completely just shunned Khalil Herbert. I wouldn't be surprised if Khalil Herbert is traded at the deadline to somebody, but I think what they've figured out is if you can get DeAndre Swift going, which obviously it points to, that you are able to open other things up. But that makes sense. That's almost any team. If you can't run the ball, then the defense doesn't have to focus on your run, and then they can put all of their focus in stopping your wide receivers. But if you're having to stop DeAndre Swift up front and DeAndre Swift in the pass game and Cole Kmet and Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, that is a lot of things to have to try and worry about at once. And oh, by the way, Caleb's pretty he can use his legs too, so he can get going when he needs to. And so there is a lot, but if you can shut down the run, to your point, if there is a way that the Jags can completely shut that down or at least eliminate it to the point where they're not able to use Swift the way they have been the last 2 games, then yeah, that is definitely the key for the Jags, in my opinion, because that does then force Caleb to, that also points back to the 2 games. Caleb had 2 games with picks this year, and in both of those he had 2. And no picks outside of that. And those 2 games were probably the worst rushing games that we've had.
And on the flip side of that, and we discussed this morning on the Duval Rundown live show, which is available on the 1010XL Jaguars channel, as well as wherever you get your podcast from 1010XL, we discussed the race to 21 points. The Jaguars right now are averaging 19.7 points per game. The Bears are averaging about 22 points per game. I think that's a big reason why this spread right now is currently 2.5 at MyBookie. With that said, when the Jaguars, on the other side of this, run the ball, that is when they have seen success offensively. And in turn, in looking at the Bears' defense, and if there's any sort of way in which the Jaguars could stop what right now is a top 10 defensive unit, especially in that all-important red zone where the Jaguars have struggled, one stat that Gus Logan and I identified was that the Bears, of their 5 touchdowns they've given up in the red zone this year, 3 of them have been on the ground. They're giving up 3.5 yards per carry on the ground in the red zone. And so that says to me that for both these operations to work, you need to run the ball. And that's what I think is going to be so fascinating. And Taylor, you could speak to this from the Bears side. Lauren, I know we feel this covering the team each and every day with the Jaguars. At times, it is frustrating to see the success that the run game can have, and when that is not called upon. And the fact that you are trying to force passing situations where you know that there can be success if you set your running backs up in certain situations and you're choosing not to do that. And so that's what I think. I think it's going to come. This game is going to come down to the discipline of the play callers and the players themselves to play within themselves and say, you know what, if this is what has made our offense go each of the last 2 weeks, we need to lean into that.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at those rushing defenses, because they're pretty similar, they've both allowed 6 rushing touchdowns. The difference is the passing. The Jags have allowed 10 passing touchdowns, and the Bears have only allowed 2. So that is why I think it's going to be such a major focus for the Jags, because it feels like when the Jags offense, I mean, because if it feels like if they can really get Tank going and the run game going, then that is going to be what saves this game for the Jaguars. And
isn't it crazy that she just casually throws Tank out there? Yeah. And we don't even mention ETN anymore. I mean,
know,
we do.
I feel kind of bad for that.
But Tank Bigsby, to this point in the season, has been a better running
we debunked
back.
that as well this morning. Like, the reality is that Tank Bigsby, yes, is number one in EPA per play of any running back in the National Football League right now. He's obviously number one in yards per carry at 8.0 yards per tote. At the same time, he has a 50% success rate, according to PFF. Travis Etienne has a 56.6% success rate, according to PFF. And so I don't think it's that Travis Etienne is the inferior running back or that you can't have both of them existing in the same world. If you look at Travis Etienne's yards per carry or his EPA, in my estimation, the reason the numbers are down is because the Jaguars tried the first 3 weeks of the season to put him in unfavorable situations. Yeah. Like on the goal line or 2 yards to go and you're trying to fit him in between the tackles when he's nursing a bum shoulder.
That's the thing. I think that's where we've seen Bigsby accelerate too past Travis Etienne, because right now he is the better running back. That right now, it could change certainly, but he is. But Etienne is dealing with a shoulder injury, and as a running back, that's a difficult thing because you're, constantly going into giant gentlemen with your shoulder.
Which last year, if you recall, against the Houston Texans, when Travis Etienne had the rib injury, and you could literally see on a 2-yard run from the 2-yard line on 4th and goal or 3rd and goal, whatever it was, Lauren, like he's favoring and twisting his body because of the injury, and yet you wouldn't choose to put one of your other two running backs in.
That's so frustrating to me, Taylor. They had Bigsby last year. They knew what they had in him, and yet because he had some fumbling issues early and he didn't know what to do on special teams one time, they wasted him basically all of last year.
And just pushed ETN into situations he shouldn't have been in. But, I mean, I feel like that's also a conversation that will be had as we approach ETN contract, because now this is 3 years where he's been battling an injury. Obviously missed a whole first season because of it. Last year, banged up the whole second half of the season. And now so far within 5 games has been banged up too. And if you're a running back, you have to be able to kind of work through some of those. And it's very noticeable when Etienne's hurt and he can't perform to the level he normally can if he's any sort of banged up whatsoever. One of the things with Tank Bigsby to me, and this is why I think I keep talking about him, is because, and you mentioned this in the offseason, Mia, about how when we're talking about the difference between a true running back and just like an athlete and the difference of those and the difference of saying one is ETN and one is Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby, when it comes to, I'm sure everyone saw the chart that was going around, but the yards after contact and missed tackles, Tank Bigsby lives in his own world, leading the league in both of those areas. That's the type of running back that you're going to want in a game against the Bears, because they do have that front that is a little more tough, rugged, mean type of guys, and that you're not going to be able to do much with a more finesse type running back against the Bears defense right now. So this is why I think this is a game where if Tank gets going, that does open more opportunities for obviously Trevor Lawrence, because if the Bears have to feel like they need to get more focus on Tank Bigsby, then that gives Trevor all the time in the world to maybe this weekend we'll see. I heard Tony talk about it, which is a good point, more of the 2 tight end type stuff, because Gabe Davis has been non-existent. So how much more with a healthy Evan Ingram do you start seeing more of that on the field, and how do the Bears cover that? And that's some of the interesting conversations for this weekend to me.
Yeah, and to that point, Taylor, the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line is available, folks. We are live streaming. We just had one of our Heeligans text in and ask if we're live right now, or if this was a re-air of yesterday's program. We are live.
We started the show talking about Lindor's bomb grand slam from last night. It obviously is live. If this is a replay of yesterday, that hadn't happened yet.
We do hope everybody's doing okay out there, as we have Hurricane Milton going offshore of the state of Florida. But to that same point, Taylor.
Poor Trop, by the way.
Yeah, seriously. Although we do have an update on that, as well as the Tampa Bay Bucks here momentarily. Hef in the MyBookie Digital Studio points out that the play action to running back, tight end screens, or deep to Brian Thomas Jr. can be opened, as Robert points out, if the Jaguars run the ball and set up play action. And that's the big question mark. And I want to find the stat. I got to find it. One of our Heeligans out there is doing a great job of monitoring. It's a Jaguar living in Boston. I need to start following this guy because he has great stats when it comes to Trevor with play action. But once again, we saw about 20% of Trevor's dropbacks come off play action. And I think he was like 8 of 10, or it was like basically 2 incompletions to an 80% percentage mark, essentially.
Yeah.
And that can only be created, once again, when you are multidimensional and you're forcing the defense to play on its toes. I also think it's a whole conversation worth having maybe in the 1 o'clock hour, to your point about how do you guard Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk being down Jaquan Brisker, and which responsibility will Kyler Gordon bear the load of. But to your point, Lauren, we do have an update, RJ, if we could hit that real quick, regarding our friends down in Tampa Bay.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
While site surveys are still being conducted, according to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, Raymond James Stadium and the Bucs practice and training facility seem to have sustained only cosmetic damage. All things considered, obviously very good news, especially in light of the images that we all woke up to this morning once the sun came out of the roof of Tropicana Field, all but entirely ripped off by Hurricane Milton. Thankfully, from boots on the ground, it sounds like the line workers who were expected to stay there as they work to restore power and energy throughout the Tampa Bay, St. Pete area, they were not there overnight. They had them housed somewhere else, so there was no one outside of essential personnel, and they were on the concourses, and so everyone's safe and accounted for at the Trop. But, yeah, it's not a pretty sight in most regards down there right now, but it does sound like the Tampa Bay area did avoid the doomsday scenario.
Yeah, thank goodness. By the way, to our conversation, Demetrius Harvey just tweeted out, will Travis Etienne's injury give Tank Bigsby more opportunities? So, of course, you can find the story at the Times-Union online. And he said, the real story, this is a great problem, stands the injury to Etienne for the Jaguars to have right now. Bigsby's play can elevate the entire offense. And yes, you're not going to just go away from Travis Etienne. That's not our point whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
It's more right now, Bigsby is running better. He's seeing the field better. The hole is better. His vision's better. And yards after contact, to your point, Taylor, he's doing things that Etienne has never done. But pass catching wise, I'd trust Etienne more than I'd trust Tank Bigsby. Pass protection, I'd trust Etienne more than I'd trust Tank Bigsby. All right, we've got more to do on this Thursday edition of Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
I did find the stat. Thank you to Andrew Kessler. Week 5 play action numbers for Trevor Lawrence. I wanted to make sure we gave Andrew his flowers because he's doing a great job up there in Beantown. Trevor Lawrence, 7 of 7 for 140 yards, 5 first downs, a 10.6 EPA, a 20.6% play action rate overall.
And there you go. We'll be back on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The longer you listen,
I thought the play was exceptional.
The more you learn about your home team. We stay close to the Jags, so you can too. 1010XL.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle. If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle with lifetime warranty, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Best price, best payment, best trade-in value, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. With a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there is always a little room for wiggle. Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Mia here. Have you been betting and winning at MyBookie.com? If you haven't bet with MyBookie yet, they are still running the double deposit bonus. Just sign up with promo code 1010XL. We are on to week 6 in the NFL, a ton of college matchups that run through the weekend. Get some skin in the game on all of these elite matchups. You should certainly have your eye on that spread for Florida, Tennessee Saturday night. You know that we play the Bears Sunday on NFL over in London, and we're probably going to be a slight underdog here in Duval County. If you think the Jags can win in London, bet it. The Surging Commanders, meanwhile, play the Ravens in a DMV battle. The Cowboys play the Lions. And for Sunday Night Football, Bengals traveling to New York to play the Giants. For a limited time, MyBookie still has that double deposit bonus. Use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit up to $1,000. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 10, 1951, the two-time defending champions, the New York Yankees, beat the New York Giants in the Baseball World Series in a 4-2 series victory.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hey, David again with Royal Pest Services. TAP Insulation stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Keep your home cool, noise out, and pests dead. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free inspection.
Duck Duck Rooter provides plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services across the First Coast. We have the ability to travel straight to you when you need it most. We have our community covered. Duck Duck Rooter technicians are your neighbors, friends, and family. We know you best. Understand what sets us apart from the rest. When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband and wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at goosehead.com.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Find your why with membership at the First Coast YMCA. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Come try free access to your local Y every Wellness Wednesday this month. Check out our fitness classes, swimming, pickleball, youth sports, and so much more for free every Wednesday in October. Plus, we'll waive the join fee when you become a member this month. Get active, be social, live healthier, and discover all the benefits of YMCA membership at your local Y or visit fcymca.org.
Pickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The 1-4 Jaguars will take on the 3-2 Chicago Bears on Sunday at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence with a look at the Bears' defense.
They're a good defense. You look at just from the numbers standpoint, since at some point last year up until now, they've been one of the top defenses in the league. I think it pops on tape just how they play. Huge emphasis on, getting turnovers, getting their hands on the ball, whether that's punch outs, forcing fumbles, or, plays down the field and making plays on the ball. They all have great ball skills. I think that's one thing that definitely jumps off the tape.
Jags, Bears, Sunday morning at 9:30. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. And yes, we are live here on this Thursday afternoon on 1010XL, and it is 1010 day. All right, so we're going to get to a little bit of Trevor Lawrence. He talked about the Bears defense and also about Brian Thomas Jr. But first, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
First of all, thanks to our boss, Steve Griffin, who just bought us some Chick-fil-A,
Round of applause,
Love
RJ.
it.
Let's do it.
I'm very excited to get to the kitchen after this break and go grab some chicken nuggets and some French fries. But let's start with, we've had some conversations, obviously, when it comes to Robert Saleh and his firing and what we think of that. But sometimes what gets overlooked, and you see coaches getting fired and fired and fired while the owners, or the team owners, get to keep their jobs, and maybe sometimes they shouldn't. And I feel like fan bases personally sometimes will go after their team owners, but a lot of times nationally, it's more so just like the coach, the play caller. They'll go for more of that rather than like the team owner needs to make a change, because obviously they're hiring these people and there's some issues. So I wanted to go through some of these because The Athletic wrote an article about this, and it's the team's owners that rank among the NFL's worst in win rate. So these are all owners who have multiple hirings of coaches, and they have the worst win rates over the past. It doesn't say a specific time, I guess just their times with this specific organizations that they're in. So Woody Johnson is number one with the Jets. He is 117 and 122. And so obviously Robert Saleh, who was 20 and 36, Adam Gase, who was 9 and 23, Todd Bowles, who was 24 and 40, Rex Ryan, who was 46 and 50, Eric Mangini, who was 23 and 25, Edwards, who was 39 and 41, and then Al Groh, who's 9 and 7. So this goes back to 2000 of a lot of coaches who none of them have winning records during this whole time of being the Jets. We also know it goes beyond a lot of this stuff, just the coach in its own, because like I said, I do not believe it's full on Robert Saleh's fault in this situation. And you can go back and talk about Adam Gase and the quarterbacks he was given, and it wasn't his fault that their offense couldn't score. I don't know, but go on to the next one is Mark Davis with the Raiders. He is 87 and 125. So Antonio Pierce is 7 and 7. Josh McDaniels was 9 and 16. Rich Bisaccia was 7 and 5. John Gruden was 22 and 31. Jack Del Rio was 25 and 23. Tony Sparano was 3 and 9, and Dennis Allen was 8 and 28. So Jack Del Rio, the only one with an above 500 record. Oh no, Rich Bisaccia was too, just with that 7 and 5. So another organization that has a long list of of hirings that have just not seemed to work out. Behind that is the Browns. I don't know if anyone would be surprised about that. But this goes back to Stefanski, who right now actually does have above 500 record. He's 38 and 34. But behind that was Freddie Kitchens, who was 6 and 10. Greg Williams, who was 5 and 3. Hugh Jackson, who was 36 and 1. Mike Patine, who was 10 and 22. And I don't know how to say it. Rob Chudzinski was 4 and 12. So I'm getting down here because the next one behind that was the Panthers. I think other people would also. David Tepper is obviously one of probably the owners that people have talked about as being, why is this guy still running this organization, because it's been a mess. He's 32 and 72. So Dave Canales is 1 and 4. Chris Tabor was 1 and 5. Frank Reich was 1 and 10. Steve Wilkes was 6 and 6. Matt Rule was 11 and 27. Perry Fowle was 0 and 4. So they have only had one season at 500 with 6 different coaches under David Tepper. And the reason I wanted to get to some of this, though, is because the Jags are right behind them. It's under Shad Khan. Obviously, Doug Peterson is 19 and 20. Darrell Bevel, 1 and 3. Urban Meyer, 2 and 11. Doug Marrone, 23 and 43. Gus Bradley, 14 and 48. And Mike Mularkey, 2 and 14. Do you think we get to a point where people start to look at that direction, or do you think it's beyond that? It's more of once these guys get here, they're not exactly making the right decisions once they're here.
I get texts frequently that say Shad Khan needs to go from people. So you're not going to ever be able to make that decision.
By the way, 62 and 141 is the total since Shad's been here.
You're not ever going to be able to get an owner out, really, unless the NFL decides that off the field stuff or outside of the franchise stuff is a reason, like we've seen before. But I don't necessarily blame Shad for some of the, like, I can blame him for hiring Urban Meyer because I think a lot of us going into that thought it wasn't going to work. Or not a lot. A lot of people thought it would work, but some of us thought it wouldn't work. But I think at the time, or I thought at the time that Gus Bradley was going to be fantastic as a head coach. But overall, he needs to, I think, hire another executive vice president of football operations, someone like a Tom Coughlin, that can guide this type of stuff.
Happy birthday to Tony Khan today, born on 10-10 day, by the way. Happy birthday, Tony. I would agree with Lauren's sentiment of maybe you bring an additional cook into the kitchen, although we know how that saying goes as well. And I think that if anything, I don't want to lean into the college model of bringing in a search firm because I think that has shown that it is not foolproof either. But even to just bring in that external company that assists you in the process of reviewing candidates, I think that is something not just here locally in Jacksonville, but across the National Football League maybe should be leaned into a little bit more. I also think it's worth self-study of what did the Detroit Lions do after they got it wrong so many times? What did the Cleveland Browns do after they got it wrong so many times? And even with the current situation they find themselves in, I don't think it's the head coach's fault that Deshaun Watson stinks on ice. I think, if anything, Kevin Stefanski was the coach of the year last year in spite of that and in spite of having 4 different quarterbacks. And so what did those teams do in identifying the correct hire historically over the last 10 years? I would advise that not just, again, here locally. I think that goes across the board to all the teams that you're saying. I think ultimately with folks like David Tepper, who have kind of dug their heels in and said it's my way or the highway, I know what I'm doing. I do not believe that Shad Khan. I believe he is open to all conversations and all whatever it may perspectives. So I think you're very lucky in that regards, Jaguar fans, because you could be a Panthers fan right now who there's no way out.
Yeah.
At least it feels like that because it's his way or the highway. And to the point of the Jets, I think ultimately in that regards, it's time to sing the song. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And that's not suggesting that Woody Johnson should be selling the team, but it is suggesting that, when he was across the pond serving as the ambassador in London, whoever he's left to run the day-to-day operations, maybe that's where you have to have a question because he has been hands-off. As much as he was hands-on this decision, he has been largely hands-off for the better part of the last few years. And so I think it's a very interesting needle you need to thread.
Who would you say is the most hands-on?
Jerry.
Yeah. So they're right behind the Jags in this, which is honestly kind of crazy because I feel like Mike McCarthy, 45 and 27. Jason Garrett was 85 and 67. Wade Phillips was 34, 22. And Bill Parcells was 34 and 30. But behind that, it was a lot of losing for them.
He's owned them a lot longer. Like Woody Johnson has owned.
It goes back to 1989 that he's been there. So you have a broader, obviously, more of a kind of bigger sample size to look at. But just quick behind that, it's the Philly behind that. And then behind that is the Bears, which I'm not surprised by that either. But one thing that does make me mad is Lovie Smith was 81 and 63, and the Bears fired him after a 10-win season. So I'm never going to forgive the McCaskies for firing Lovie Smith after that 2012 year.
Yeah, I think the reason that people get so angry with Shad, too, is because they loved the Weavers so much, Wayne and Dolores, and they felt like because they brought the team here and because the team was winning under them, that then when Shad has been here, there's been 2 winning seasons under Shad, right?
Mm-hmm.
3. Well, 3 winning seasons, but only 2 that made the playoffs because last year didn't. So even if it's a winning season, is it really a good season if you don't make the playoffs? It depends on how you look at it. But look, I think Shad has tried everything. I think he's poured money into this place. He's put a lot of investments into Jacksonville. It's just the football. They can't figure out how to have sustained winning seasons or playoff seasons. And that's hard, like you said, Taylor, that's hard for a lot of franchises, not just Jacksonville.
Yeah, and that's what, when we go through this, it's those people, your organization, you know the most about. You know what these owners have done beyond. And we know that Shad Khan hasn't ever been, and he's been vocal about being, I'm not the football guy. I'm here for everything else. I'm here to bring the new stadium. I'm here to do things for the city. I'm here to bring the right coaches in. And although the urban one wasn't, a lot of people felt like Doug Peterson was. And so we'll see how that goes in the next couple years also, because now there's been talk of him being on the hot seat. And so what does that look like if Doug is gone too, and you're looking at another firing of a coach and Trevor having to go to another coaching staff?
And how much say so does Trevor have at that point in time?
So there are other things that go into that, obviously. And when you talk about a guy like Jerry Jones has his foot and mouth and every single aspect of
He also has his foot in his mouth.
Yes, of the Dallas Cowboys. So you kind of have to be appreciative sometimes that at least it's not to that level where he's trying to dictate everything that's on the field because he knows where his boundaries are.
Right. But the birthday boy is certainly far more involved in Tony Khan.
Definitely.
And so that's
And
another
that's going to be
thing,
an interesting situation moving forward because, eventually there's going to come a day in which logic would suggest if he is to take the ownership or at least the day-to-day quote-unquote operations of the team when Shad Khan retires or whatever you want to surmise of where this goes next, I think that'll be interesting. Will Tony continue to be so involved in Fulham? Will he become more involved with the Jags? Whereas, he's been very transparent, including on XL Primetime, about how he kind of took a step back after the first 4 years of being so involved in the day-to-day analytics. And then, of course, you throw the AEW part of it into it all. And so I think it'll be interesting to see where, as a whole, ownership progresses from here. Like I said, I could tell you this. Jaguar fans should be very, very lucky they have the ownership they do, especially when you rattled off some of those other situations around the National Football League.
By the way, Tony does have a sister. Shad has two kids, a boy and
she's
a girl.
awesome.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that Tony would become the full 100% owner. We'll see when that day comes. But for right now, we just have to figure out a way to beat the Bears on Sunday. I promised you some Trevor Lawrence cuts. We'll get to that on the other side. And Mia has her midweek MyBookie picks as well. We also have a special giveaway, and we have a giveaway right now, Taylor.
We do. Lunch on the Ladies, lunch for two to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 1.
I like it. Caller number 1. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Because radio is supposed to be fun.
Feels kind of like the first day of spring training for Little League here.
1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Dive into Beyond Triathlon, an inspiring documentary with stories of women in sports, featuring Jacksonville's Dottie Dorian, Mayor Donna Deegan, and 3-time Olympic gold medalist Nancy Hogshead at the Lazara Performance Hall at UNF this Saturday, October 12th. After, Bacardi invites you to celebrate with a triumphant Toast to Excellence reception. Golden and silver levels get an exclusive custom blended bottle of rum. Get tickets starting at $10 at BeyondTriathlon.com. Proceeds benefit scholarships for female athletes.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I speak for everyone here at 1010XL when I say congratulations, Hacker. 100 pounds lost with a Wake 180 is a huge milestone, and we are so proud of you. Life-changing, life-enhancing. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed is taking action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit, lowering mortgage rates big time. Prosser here. That means this is the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get $50,000 to $75,000, even $100,000 in cash. Use it to pay off all your credit cards, personal loans, car loans. You'll end up with one payment each month. And for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. If you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Today's
contestant. A gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida. Me, Dennis Mosley.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see. Hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
I wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Southampton invites you to enjoy a round of golf and then a round with your buds, thanks to their game day special. Every Saturday and Sunday during the season, order up 10 wings and a cold pitcher for just $22. Plus, being a member at Southampton has its privileges, like a $500 gift card when you join with a paid initiation fee. All the details are at golfsouthampton.com. Twilight Golf every day with special rates after 3 o'clock. Don't forget trivia Thursday nights and music on the patio Friday night. All at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Poker players, brace yourselves. The World Poker Tour storms into Best Bet Jacksonville October 31st to November 19th, and the forecast calls for massive prize pools. Event 1 has a cool $200,000 guarantee. Event 6, a downpour of $300,000. And the main event, a flood of a $1 million guarantee. WPT Championship satellites are already brewing. Don't get left high and dry. Head to bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe. I want to talk to you about picking the right battles to fight in this life. Every day, we have opportunities to get upset and angry. But I want you to realize that sometimes you have to ignore in this life so that you can soar into the kingdom of heaven. My encouragement, friends, to you is to pick the right battles to fight. Fight only battles that help you draw closer to God, because you have to ignore so that you can soar.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by YMCA of Florida's First Coast. A new update this hour from Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan on how the city of Jacksonville fared from Hurricane Milton.
We got a huge amen, folks, on this storm. I am just absolutely beyond grateful that we continue to be so blessed in this city, that we have yet again avoided the worst of one of these monster storms.
Meanwhile, the Tampa area not as fortunate. Last night, the rooftop of Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, was destroyed by Hurricane Milton. It's right now 74 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Have you made the people out there some money this season, Mia?
I hope so. And if not, how about we give this a whirl, RJ?
Now, Mia's midday MyBookie picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
First and foremost, they do still have that double deposit bonus in effect, Lauren. And that means if you place a bet at mybookie.ag, your first deposit, you automatically receive double up to $1,000. Make sure you get in on the action. Let's roll a little bit of NFL to begin this week's midweek My Bookie Picks, RJ. And we begin with tonight's Thursday night football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Man, oh man. We talk a lot in this town about the Jaguars searching for an identity. Identity has now become a buzzword out there in the Bay Area as Kyle Shanahan and company, sans Christian McCaffrey, trying to figure out who they are at 2-3. I've seen some media members out there in San Francisco, when asked about what's the identity of this team, the answer has been slow.
Oh.
So, yeah, not exactly what you want from last year's runner-ups in the big dance.
At least it's not tender.
They do,
soft or tender.
They do travel to Lumen Field this evening to face the 3-2 Seattle Seahawks, who are on a 2-game snide. I like the Seahawks to cover. I'm not so sure they'll win, only because I do think the regression to the mean will happen at some point. Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan will figure this thing out. But hey, if they win, either way, I'm happy to roll with the home team in the Seattle Seahawks. Meanwhile,
Brock Purdy, by the way, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks on the season.
And that's only 2 behind Patrick Mahomes, who leads the way in the National Football League, tied with Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. And, of course, Patrick Mahomes' dad played baseball.
You know who doesn't care at all about that stat about interceptions? Patrick Mahomes, because his team's 5-0. Yeah. Every other quarterback we could attack, not that guy.
But his other team, the Kansas City Royals, are down 2-1 to the New York Yankees. So
I saw he was there at the game last night.
Yes, he was. He is a 1% owner in the Kansas City Royals. To college football we go. A little Thursday night action. I think this is Sun Belt, Fun Belt. I can't keep tabs on which of these mid-major teams is in which conference. James Madison, Coastal Carolina. You know them. You love them. The Dukies. They came up from FCS not too long ago. They hung 70 on Mac Brown and North Carolina in Chapel Hill. I'm not going to play the spread for this one. I'm a little nervous about playing the spread of a -9 in favor of the hometown team at James Madison, because Coastal Carolina, they can also win a shootout, as we've seen, even without Grayson McCall over the better part of the last few years. So I'm going to play the over in this one. Maybe that's conservative. The total is currently set at 60. That's easily the highest number in college football until you get to, Friday night with UNLV, another team that can score in the bunches, regardless of if they have a quarterback or who their quarterback is. So give me the over in this parlay. Over 60, James Madison and Coastal Carolina this evening.
You know how people shout SEC? Yeah. SBC, the Sun Belt?
Yes.
That's what they need to shout.
Sun
SBC.
Belt, Fun Belt, Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Weird things have happened, though, in the FBS, in the Power 4, ladies, on Friday nights. Whether it was Syracuse and Stanford a few weeks ago, to,
Miami,
Virginia Tech. Like, weird things have happened on Friday nights in college football. So let's begin with the later game in the Pac-12. This one should be easy. Utah.
Not the Pac-12.
Wow. I'm sad.
There is no Pac-12. Well, there is a Pac-12. They just have 2 teams, so that's why they're not considered a Power 5
I'm
anymore.
so sad. The Big 12. Utah at Arizona State.
Fear the fork.
Fear the fork, man. Shout out to Pete Prisco. You know, this team is 4-1. A lot of people picked them to finish last in the Big 12. They are 3.5-point favorites. That line has actually shifted from 4.5. I'm curious, of course, if that has to do with who the quarterback will be for the Utah Utes.
I just realized this connection. Arizona State is 4-1. Mm-hmm. Like the Commanders are 4-1. Where did Jaden Daniels start his college career?
Yeah.
Arizona State.
You are very right, Lauren. Well, you know who's also 4-1, despite the fact that we don't know who their quarterback is, because Cam Rising has been here. He's been there. He's been everywhere.
For 25 years.
The Utes, who remain in the top 25. I have them covering the 3.5-point spread on the road, mostly because I don't think I could go home tonight if I didn't pick Utah. But at the same time, I think it'll be a little bit closer for comfort, especially if Cam Rising once again can't go. They're coming off of a bye, though. I was trying to find a stat of Kyle Whittingham off the bye against the spread. I wasn't able to find anything. So if anybody does, hit us up at 641-1010 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. And finally, and this one, it pains me. But since I picked the favorite in the first, or rather the second, Friday night FBS game, I got to go with the road dog in the first game of that doubleheader tomorrow night. And that is my mortal enemy, the Northwestern Wildcats. Plus 11 at Maryland. Northwestern's 2-3. The Terps are 3-2. September has ended, though, folks, which means September, Maryland must be faded, even in College Park. Not saying the Terps won't get the win, but give me the Cats to cover plus 11.
We have 3 games tomorrow night.
We do?
Northwestern at Maryland. Yep. UNLV at Utah State, and then Utah at Arizona State.
Two group or Power 4 games. Although at this juncture, I mean, UNLV is making the case that they're right there with the 2 service academies for that group of 5 spot in the college football 12-team playoff. Visit mybookie.ag today, folks. Get in on the action for college football, the NFL. Don't forget that double deposit bonus when you use promo code 1010XL. Make some money. And the WNBA finals are also here. I asked Josh Hines-Allen yesterday, if he's keeping tabs, and he was like, yeah, because his sister plays for the Minnesota Lynx. And I'm like, well, like, how close you been keeping tabs? And he just goes, well, I know they're going to win. But other than that, I've been a little busy. Maisha's playing really well. So, and she was a midseason trade by the Lynx, and Cheryl Reeves, of course, the head coach of the USA team as well, coach of the year, Nafisa Collier, defensive coach of the year. I thought about throwing some of that in this week's MyBookie midweek picks, but something tells me we may have a game 5 next week. We could get in on the action for.
All right, I promised you we will let you hear from Trevor Lawrence. He met with reporters yesterday during our show. And as we've discussed a lot on this program, thanks to Taylor's insight, what does Trevor think of the Bears' defense?
They're a good defense. I mean, you look at just from the numbers standpoint, since at some point last year up until now, I mean, they've been one of the top defenses in the league. I think it pops on tape just how they play, their effort, huge emphasis on, getting turnovers, getting their hands on the ball, whether that's punch outs, forcing fumbles, or, plays down the field and making plays on the ball. They all have great ball skills. I think that's one thing that definitely jumps off the tape. When a ball's near them, they're going to make the play and make it more times than not. So, I think that's something that they do really well. I think their scheme is also really good. They're disciplined. They're well coached. They're in the right spot. Then they have the guys that at times, take chances and make those plays when they read something, they recognize something. They understand what offense they're trying to do, and you can tell they're a smart group. So all those things they do a nice job. And up front, they're really physical. Nice pass rush. They do a really good job with the D-line. That's kind of where everything starts for any team. So obviously they've been good up front too.
3 teams are still waiting to get their first interception. The Commanders, the Titans, and the Jags. One of those teams is good. 2 of those teams have not been good to start this season. But yeah, Taylor, I'm sure when he puts the tape on, he sees just how good that pass defense is.
Yeah, and he said all of the points that kind of I pointed to when it comes to the ball hawk type of mentality, and that's Eberflus's thing. Go get the ball. That's just what he's preached since he came to Chicago, and even when he was in Indy, because obviously he was with the Colts before he came to be a head coach in Chicago, and he's just one of those guys that that's kind of what he focuses on. And then they did not have a defensive coordinator. I think people forget about that too, that last year the defensive coordinator got fired like randomly, and it was a bunch of weird stuff going on.
We never found out what it was.
It was nobody. Like, it was one of the weirdest situations. It was kind of just like talked about for a week or 2 and then not talked about again. And there was rumors of different things that were going on, but nothing ever really came out. And so the defense, because of that, also was kind of in some weird spots. And then they trade for Montez Sweat, and Eberflus takes over defensive play calling last year, and things just completely flipped. And then this year they go back and get Eric Washington, who had also coached with the Bears in previous times too, back in like 2010, I think, 2010, 11. And so he has the same mentality as Eberflus when it comes to that, is just go after, be where the ball is pretty much like their mindset on
That's
the
what
defense.
we thought Andre Sisco was going to be because he was a ball hawk at Syracuse.
So I teased this earlier in the program, Taylor. Let's address it. What are your expectations? We don't have to go into specific of man versus zone coverage scheme, but with no Jaquan Brisker, with Kyler Gordon in the slot, knowing there's potential for Evan Ingram to return this week, what are your expectations of how the personnel for the Bears will match up with the personnel for the Jags?
Yeah, and I think that, number one, they do a lot of sub package. So they have 3 corners on the field a lot, like to the point where last week I think was the fewest. It was like Kyler Gordon was on the